Good morning to one and all. So today this video is for class 9 standard, and as we all know we are going to the chapter health and hygiene. So today's topic is disease. Our topic is disease today. So what is disease? Let us break this word. Dis-ease. D-I-S, dis, E-A-S-C, ease. Dis-ease. Disease means a particular thing which causes discomfort to your body. Dis-ease. Dis means something negative and ease means comfort. Means a particular thing which is causing you uncomfortable, which is making you uncomfortable. That is known as dis-ease. Means due to certain things in your body feels very much uncomfort. You are not feeling comfortable at all. That is what disease means. Now, here what happens, the disease itself is a thing which makes your body so much uncomfortable that you can't do your day-to-day work. You can't do your day-to-day work. You will not feel healthy. You will rather feel very much tiredness. You may feel feverish. You may feel pain in your body. Now, apart from this, so whenever we are talking to disease, it is certainly a thing which causes discomfort to your body. Dis-ease means discomfort to your body. You are not at all healthy. Now, apart from this, whenever we are talking about disease, the first thing which comes to our brain is what is the sign and the symptoms of the disease. First, we will know what is the difference between sign and symptom. Let's say, when we are talking about symptom, what is symptom of the disease? Symptom of the disease means the disease, if at all it is present in your body, and that particular disease shows some symptoms, like you are having fever or you are having headache, but you cannot make sure that this particular fever or this headache is for that disease itself. Why? For example, a student is getting a headache. The headache does not mean the student is having some disease. It may be due to the stress of the exam. Of course, stress is also part of disease, but what we are talking about here, communicable, non-communicable, like that, not like that diseases. Not like any malaria or jaundice, or not like any other kind of disease like fracture of bone or having some head injury, nothing as such. So what happens whenever we are talking about the symptom of the disease? Symptom of the disease means if at all you are showing any symptom, you may or may not have the disease. You may or may not have the disease, which means either you may have or you may not have the disease. For example, a student is having headache. So we cannot say that a particular student is having some certain diseases. No, maybe it is due to the stress or due to the stress of the exam or maybe anything. But at the same time, when we are talking about sign of disease means the sign which is our body is showing to us is definitely indicating to a particular specific disease. For example, a person is suffering of cholera. And the person is having continuous loose motions, which means surely and certainly the bacterium Vibrio cholerae has infected the intestine of the person and the person is getting the cholera. That is known as the sign of disease. Almost each and every disease is having the common symptom fever, cold and cough. Whenever we are talking about bacterial and viral diseases, whenever we were saying about the disease caused by bacteria or disease caused by viruses, is showing that the person will have fever or cold or cough for sure. So for 90% of the bacterial and the viral diseases, fever, cold and cough is the symptom. It's a common symptom. Now, apart from this, today we shall see types of diseases. Types of diseases means based upon the area which is confined, means the diseases which are either stick to a particular area or has spread the overall area. So let's say diseases, first one is endemic, epidemic, pandemic and sporadic. Now whenever we are talking about endemic disease confined to a certain area, there are some diseases which are confined to a certain area and they didn't go out of that area. And if at all they have done it it took many decades to go out of that area. It took many decades. So endemic means confined to a certain area. Few diseases are there which is confined to a specific and a particular area only. Their outbreak has confined to a certain area. They have not gone to the different areas, which shows that these diseases were confined or stick to a particular area only. But it doesn't mean that in the later future they won't go. In the later future they may go, but at the time of their outbreak they were confined to a certain area only. But in the later future they moved to the different area, but at the time of outbreak only they were confined to a certain area. Now next is epidemic. Epidemic means rapid outbreak of infectious disease spread from place to place. Means much more dangerous than the epidemic. Much more dangerous than the endemic. So epidemic is much more dangerous than endemic disease. Why? Because though it is epidemic is confined to a certain area only. I repeat, epidemic is confined to a certain area only, but endemic, rapid outbreak of infectious disease spread from place to place, means when epidemic diseases has been outbroken a particular area, they are not confined to a particular area. They moved from one area to the other area. That must be noted. They moved from one area to the other area. Now, next is the pandemic. Whole country or worldwide, like HIV. Those diseases has moved from one country to the worldwide. From one country to worldwide. They have moved. Now, sporadic, scattered individual cases of a disease. Scattered individual cases of a disease means sporadic diseases are not confined to any area, or they are not outbroken, but still their cases are found in many parts of the world. For example, chikungunya in major part of Africa. I am giving the example of endemic diseases. We can say when malaria has outbroken in some parts of Africa, that time it was endemic only because it has confined to certain parts of Africa only, North and the South African regions. But later on, malaria came to India also and went to several other countries. But when it was outbroken, that time it has only confined some North and the South parts of Africa only. Similarly, when we are talking about epidemic from place to place it has moved, like plague. Plague has moved from one place to the other place. In Gujarat, when it happened in the year 1994, from Gujarat to different places also, means different places in Gujarat itself it has moved. Similarly, when we are talking about pandemic like HIV, from one country to worldwide it has spread. Sporadic, scattered individual cases like chikungunya, some parts of Africa and some parts of other countries are also having few cases of this disease. Now, so this is these four technical terms are very important. Do remember it. These four technical terms shows that how the areas are selected or how the areas are confined to a particular diseases. Means endemic, epidemic, pandemic and sporadic. These four are the technical terms in terms of distribution of the disease in terms of area. Now, when we are talking about types of disease, now types of disease includes acute disease, acute, ACUTE, acute disease, then congenital disease, chronic disease and acquired disease. Now what is acute disease? Acute disease are short-lived, like common cold, normal fevers during the, actually fever is not a disease, I repeat, fever is not a disease, fever is just a symptom or sign of a disease. So common cold or else sometimes the allergy in the nose, these are just short-lived disease. Now, when we are talking about the chronic disease means long-lived disease like diabetes, cancer, they are long-lived disease. Congenital disease means some kind of genetical disorders or some kind of diseases which can be inherited from parents to their children. Means parents are carrying the disease, their children will also carry the disease. Like some chromosomal disorders in the body. Now, apart from that, next one is acquired disease. Acquired disease means after the birth, whatever the disease we are getting, but these diseases are non-inheritable. Means from parents to child it will not transfer. because after the birth we are getting the disease. Like congenital diseases are oftenly inheritable, means from parents to offspring it will go. But whenever we are talking about acquired disease, either they are communicable or non-communicable disease, but they are not inheritable, means from parents to offspring it will not go. So acquired disease is of two types. Two types of acquired disease. Two types are there. These are communicable and non-communicable. So today we will talk about communicable diseases. Now what is communicable disease? Communicable disease means the disease which can transfer itself from the sick person to the healthy person by any means. If I am having the disease and a person is in near contact with me, then surely that person also may get the disease. Now it is based upon the immune system of the person. What is immune system? Immune system means the way the body fights against the germs. If the person's immune system is good, then how long the person will be with me, the person will be unaffected because he or she is having a good immune system. That's the reason why. Now, when we are talking about communicable disease, the communicable diseases are transmitted. Transmitted means they will be transmitted from one person to the other person, and for that they need source. Source of transmission must be there, otherwise the communicable disease cannot transfer, and that is one of the major thing. And if the communicable diseases are not getting any sources, they cannot be transferred. Like coronavirus is also a communicable disease. It needs a source. Either through the contaminated food, or the person who is having the particular virus, we are with that person, then we may get it. Now, for example, today, transmission of disease, we will see direct transmission and indirect transmission of communicable disease. Now, whenever we are talking about direct transmission, first of all, direct contact means, very nicely explained. From the name itself, we can infer the meaning. How direct contact? A person is having a particular disease, either bacterial or viral, and we are with that person, we may also get the disease. It means direct contact with the patient. A healthy person, when the healthy person is in directly contact with the particular patient who is sick, the healthy person may get the disease. Now, contact with soil. What is this contact with soil? There are few microorganisms present in the soil. What happens? Like tetanus. Tetanus is a disease caused by the bacterium Clostridium tetani. And its main symptom is that lower jaw will be locked. We cannot move the lower jaw. And it's a very severe disease. So what happens? This Clostridium tetani resides and found itself in the soil itself. Especially the soil which is surrounded mostly by the cow dung. And now when we are in direct contact with the soil, we may get the tetanus disease. Not only that, when we are having any kind of wound by rusted iron or any material made up of metal, those Clostridium tetani resides over the metals also, and we may get the disease. Now, through animal bites, of course, dog, monkey, if they will bite, we are getting the rabies disease, and the name of the virus is rhabdovirus, RABHDO, rhabdovirus. And the first symptom is hydrophobia. We will have a fear towards water. Whenever we will see water, we will act very badly. Now, transplacental transmission. When the mother carries a baby, when the baby is inside the mother's womb, there is a connecting medium known as placenta. Some diseases like syphilis, HIV, they could transfer from the mother to the baby through the placenta, and the baby will also be infected in the later future. Now, indirect transmission. Indirect transmission, first point is through air. We are not in direct contact with anyone, but still we are getting the disease. How? For example, when a person coughs, small droplets of cough transmitted in the air, and that small droplets of cough contains the bacterium or the viruses, and the healthy person will, when the healthy person is inhaling it, the healthy person also may get it. So through air. Through contaminated food and water, of course. If the food and water, whatever we are eating or drinking, is not at all okay, and it is continuously being infected by the microorganisms, and we are not knowing it, and we are eating, of course we will be getting the disease. And this is very dangerous one. Why? Because there is one disease known as botulism. Botulism is a disease known as food poisoning. More often it is known as food poisoning. So this food poisoning disease, botulism, is caused by a specific bacterium. Now this bacterium, when it is infecting our food and we are eating, we are getting the food poisoning. And if the concentration of the bacteria is very much high, it may cause death also. Now, through fomites. Fomites means some dead things. Sofa set, cover of the bikes or car, whatever it is. And we are touching it and we are not washing our hands and all. And we are not taking a proper hygiene, not maintaining a proper hygiene with the non-living things surrounding us. Then that time we also may get disease, because there are viruses, there are bacteria which may live on the surface of the non-living things also. For example, we can take the example of coronavirus also. The coronavirus is also having a capacity, or else the common cold virus, the rhinovirus, they are also having the capacity to live on the non-living surfaces also. Now, through vectors. Vector means one who is carrying the disease. Now, many of the students is having a confusion between vector and pathogen. What happens is, vector is carrying the disease, and pathogen is the germs which is causing the disease. For example, the germs of the malaria is carried by the female Anopheles. Germs of the malaria is carried by the female Anopheles. So what happens? And we know malaria is a protozoan disease. Malaria is a protozoan disease. So here, what happens? See the contrast. Germs of the malaria is carried by the mosquito. So here mosquito is the vector, and the germs of the malaria, the protozoa, is a pathogen. So one who is carrying the disease is a vector. One who is causing the disease is a pathogen. For example, the houseflies, they carries the bacterium Salmonella typhi, bacteria which is causing the typhoid disease. Now here the housefly will be the vector, and the bacterium which is the housefly is carrying is the pathogen. So vector and pathogens are two different things. People used to take it as a one. No, vector, one who is carrying the disease. Pathogen, one who is causing the disease. So I hope you can understand it through the video. If any doubt, you can ask. Thanks a lot.